Hey friends, welcome back to another episode of Getting Close Up, the show focused on independent artists and creatives. I am your host, Danielle Cox, and make sure that you join the GCU fam today by subscribing to this channel, liking the video. Come on, just do it. You can do it right now. And making sure that you ding the notification bell so you don't miss a thing. Now, the guest that I have with me today uses her spark and her creativity to bring people together one masterpiece at a time. Today, we are getting close up with Kitty Barrett Cry. Hey, girl.
Hey.
How are you?
I'm just living the dream.
And I said this before, but I love the energy that you have.
I really appreciate that.
Your smile and everything, you just glow, and I think that's awesome. It's not just the really bright lights in here. The abnormally bright lights in here. But
well, thank you.
Such as TV. I appreciate you being here, and I can't wait to talk to you a little bit about your art because we've had an opportunity to talk before when I've watched you do things at events, and when I see your art, it is like if Beetlejuice and Picasso had a baby. That's how I feel about it when I see it.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping that feels like a compliment.
No, definitely. I never would have put that together. A lot of people say it's very childlike, but I love that. I love Picasso and Beetlejuice.
Yeah.
That's nice.
The tongues and the heads
right.
and all those different things. Like, yeah, that's like Beetlejuice. It is like.
I love it.
But it is, I love it, and very childlike. I think that's a great point because when we were talking before, you mentioned the word play a lot. Tell me about how that influences your art.
Well, okay, so I think that art should be play. Whatever your art form is, dance, music, painting, sculpture, whatever it is. Yeah. I think a lot of times that we're told, like, as we grow up, you have to be good at whatever that artistic, adventure that you're on or whatever, right? Like, you have to be able to sell your work or whatever. And I think as adults, we forget that a lot of exploration of the world is play. You're supposed to play with your surroundings. You're supposed to experiment and mess up and be silly and have fun. And it doesn't have to be serious just because, you're old.
Yeah, just because you're old or because, you now feel like you have to monetize it. And in doing so, you have to cater to certain masses. Like, how do you feel about the pressure to conform in order to be marketable?
Well, that's actually one of the reasons why I started doing the interactive live paintings that I do, is because I did in 2021, I started selling art at different fairs. And I mean, it was fun. I loved the feeling and the vibe of being around other creatives and talking to other people about art. And it was beautiful, except like selling art is so weird. And it just wasn't fun for me. So I wanted to start trying to experiment with that in a way that it wasn't like there isn't pressure to sell it.
Right.
We are just having fun. We are just playing. We're just making art. And if it sells, it's great. If it doesn't, I'm not worried about it. I just want to create with people and, do what I want to do.
Yeah, exactly.
One of the reasons I started selling art is because I was making art, and you can only give paintings away as gifts so often until people are like, well,
they're like, oh, it's another painting. I love it. And then you head over to their house and it's like covered.
It's like, I love your art, but you're not the only artist I want in my house. So just trying to figure out different ways to, I guess, bring art to people that it doesn't have to be a selling thing, because they're like my little brain babies. Oh. And I don't like putting money on it. It's weird. I don't know.
No, it's not weird. Even if it is weird, it's not because it's what you want.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And I hear a lot of artists say that they have a really hard time with marketing themselves because feel like they're just trying to sell their babies. It's like, this is my baby and I want you guys to like it. And I would like to also have dinner, but.
Right. Well, and I think it's also important to have original art in your home. And my neighbors can't afford to have like big original art in their home.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I can't afford.
Right.
The only reason
No.
I have art in my home is because I traded art with people.
Mhm.
So that's another thing is I'm just like, I'd rather, like, if you like a piece, if it speaks to you, let's figure out how you can take it home. I don't know. I don't like money.
Aw.
So,
That's so
I mean,
arty.
obviously you need money to survive and live and blah, blah, blah. But I'm like, I would rather you have, you know, the bright colors that you want. Or if this piece speaks to you, like, you should have it, I think.
I think that's so arty of you, but it's also really beautiful. Now, we talked about, you know, a little bit about the concept of, you know, creating together and painting together, but let's go back to how you got started in art. Like, was there an actual start to it, or had you always been creating?
I don't know that there's like a real start. I feel like, you know, when I was a kid, I would just create things out of whatever I had. My mom's kind of a crafty person, and so she always had like little crafts that we could do.
Right.
And I always took them and ran with them.
Yeah.
We used to have like the baby food jars for my younger siblings, and we made like little snow globes out of them.
Oh, that's cute.
We each made one snow globe, and then I started collecting all of the jars, and at one point we had like hundreds of baby jars filled with beads and water and glitter. And I don't know what happened to all of them, but
your mom probably like snuck them away like 10 at a time.
One was good.
Like every so often she'll pick up a sock and then she'll take 5 jars.
Right.
And it's like, and then you didn't notice because you were collecting
Right.
other things. So
I had moved on to other art projects. But
that is cute.
yeah, I mean, I really loved it in high school. And then I got pregnant when I was 20, and my art kind of fell to the wayside.
Yeah.
And so did my mental health. So
I mean,
I kind of picked it back up. I was like, I had all of these paints that probably are expired and everything from back when I used to paint. And I was like, well, I wonder if they still work. And they sort of did.
They did enough.
And, you know, some dollar store canvases. And I found my love for it again.
Yeah.
So I don't know that there was really a start. I guess
It's just been an ongoing thing.
Just forever, just creating different ways, I guess. I mean, I believe all humans are artists at their core. It doesn't matter. I mean, just because you're not a painter doesn't mean you're not an artist. I mean, art can come in all sorts of forms. I mean, my husband is an artist with numbers. I mean, he can just do stuff with numbers that I'm like, that's not me.
That's a great perspective. I hear people say all the time, oh, well, I'm not an artist. I'm not, you know, I don't, or sometimes I'm even been guilty of saying this. Well, I'm not a singer. I like singing, but I'm not a singer. But like everybody can do something.
Oh,
you know, and it doesn't have to be what somebody else does.
Well, and art is literally just exploration. It's self-expression and exploration. And that can look so different for so many different people. I mean, when I do my interactive light paintings, I cannot tell you how many people tell me, I'm not an artist. I'm not an artist. Yeah. And I just want to be like, you are an artist.
Take the brush. Take it and paint.
Do it. I'm like, we're all artists.
Yeah.
You don't have to be a painter, but you should explore painting, and it's free right now. So
and it's free, and all you have to do is just add to it. Do people get scared that they're going to mess something up?
Oh my gosh, all the time. All the time. And I tell them you can't mess it up. I actually, one of my first paintings, I had a guy come up, and it was sort of close to the end of the night, so the painting was, you know, getting finished, I guess. And he was like, I want green, which there was like not a whole lot of green in it. And he started just flinging the green onto the painting. And he was like, I want to ruin this. And I was like, there you go. He didn't. No, it was not ruined. Right. I was like, did you have fun? And he was so taken aback. He was like, really? That's okay? And I'm like, yeah. I'm like, I told you there's no rules. Well, I have one rule now. You can't put any paintbrushes in your mouth. but
that's
no
probably
rules.
a good rule for liability reasons,
Right.
especially.
But yeah, but putting paint on the canvas, there's no rules. I have no rules. And if your goal is to ruin the painting, do it. I mean, is that the whole point of this is so that you have, access to, I guess, paint, to play,
Yeah, an
to
opportunity to
mess
play
around.
and
Yeah.
explore. And the big theme of this is play. And I think I really like that. Let's dig into a little bit of what you were saying about how people have described your art, because I know how I described it. But how have other people described your art?
I get a lot of childlike, or that's childish, or a lot of that. And I
Think they
not
mean it pejoratively? Like they don't mean it, or they mean it in a bad way?
I think some people mean it not in the kindest way,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't think it's a bad thing.
Mm.
So I don't ever take it wrong
Yeah.
or negative, I guess. I think, like, well, if you are thinking that childlike means that it is bad, then there's probably something in yourself that you need to work on, because children are awesome. So, and they're usually happy.
Yeah.
Happier than most adults
Even
I
when
know.
they are drawing on the wall and you don't want them to do that, they are in their happiest moment coloring on that wall.
Right. I mean, and I think that, I don't know, I almost take it as a compliment no matter what their intention is, just because I feel like, that is something that I don't want to lose. I want to be able to have that joy of exploring the universe however I want to. And if that comes out in big, bold colors and childlike, creations, I don't know how childlike this one is. But, I think it's fun. And yeah.
You probably should have like an on-site therapist next to the thing, because
Right.
because even with the guy, I love your perspective on it. But even with the guy that said, I want to ruin this, and he was like, I don't know if he was expecting a rise or response out of you, and he got the exact opposite. And then when he started doing it, and he's like trying to use creativity to destroy something, when creativity, the word create is in it.
Right.
Like, you can't do that, honey. That doesn't go. And he didn't
I
even realize it. It didn't even occur to him until it was finished.
Right. And I think it's I don't know. There's really no way to destroy it. And that's what I was telling him. I was like, you could take the paintbrush and shove it right through the canvas, and you still can't destroy it. I have tons of broken canvases that I stitch them back up and use it as part of the texture or part of the painting. Or, I actually love canvases with holes in them, because then it makes you think, like, well, what could this hole be? I've made it, somebody's eye, stitched it up. Yeah, sorry, maybe that's not.
No, I mean that in a good way.
I
love this.
A hole in a chest. I've made it. At one of them, like, I had a person screaming, and then the canvas was stitched up next to them, and it was like the only color. Everything else was like black and white, except their brain was exploding, and so the exploding brain and the stitches were the same colors.
Wow.
I love it. I love finding canvases with holes in them to figure out, like, how am I gonna incorporate this. I had one of them. It had a hole down the middle, and I put a heart on one side and a brain on the other, and then stitched them together. So that was pretty fun.
Are you a zombie in a past life?
Maybe. Because zombies are my favorite, like,
because
horror
you and brains, like, were you a zombie? What's the most meaningful painting that you've done, or the most meaningful work that you've done?
I don't know. That one's hard. All of them.
I can tell from the way that you approach it that that's probably going to be your answer.
Right. Every single painting has something in it. To me, painting is a very intimate and, like, deep.
It is.
Thing. I don't know. I'm not as good with words, but it really is. And yeah, so every painting, I mean, it has all of my heartbreak, it has all of my joy, it has all of the big moments and the little moments and the funny things and the sad things. And, you know, each painting has bits of that, right? Because painting for me is that expression of who I am as a person, and I put that into everything. So it would be really hard for me. There are paintings that I have that I'm like, you know, this one is like intentionally I'm working through something.
Yeah.
Right now I'm painting like a giant Medusa.
Oh, wow.
And so like there's real intention behind like what that painting is, but most of the time I'm just like, this feels good, and
You're just doing it.
I'm just doing it, releasing all of the things that make me who I am onto a canvas.
And I think that's a perfect segue to get into some of your art. We have a piece right here. Do your pieces have names? Let's start there.
I think this one's just called Squid Lady.
Squid Lady? I love it. I really like this one.
So words are not my art. Yeah,
That's
I have one
hilarious.
over here. I think it's called Big Bug's Little Peach. So
look at that in a second.
But yes, Squid Lady.
Tell me about this one.
Well, she's a lady and she has squid arms. Okay, so actually this frame had some inspirational quote on it. And I liked the texture, but the quote, whoever had the quote, because I found it in the trash, whoever had the quote did not need it anymore. So
yeah, apparently they were like, inspiration, this is what I think of you.
And so I kind of just started, I was painting the background, and like I said earlier, I do have like a junk drawer of just random stamps and things, and so I wanted to just play with like adding fun little things
I love
in
the glass beads on it.
Yeah.
From this angle with the light that's happening through it right now, it's really giving it, it's like little bubbles floating in air.
Yeah, that was actually such an afterthought. I have so many of these things. I don't know where I got them, but I was like, it needs bubbles.
You still collecting those jars, girl.
Right.
And then the necklace, like, is that something that happened after too?
No, so
She's a fancy lady. That's what you forgot.
So fancy.
You forgot to say she was a fancy squid lady.
I'll change the name.
She's a fancy squid lady.
Fancy squid lady. That is something I found on the ground. And I think it used to be a rosary.
Yeah, probably.
Because I found there was a bunch of pieces to it. And when I was done painting her, I was like, she needs like a necklace or something. And I went through like my boxes and boxes of beads and stuff, and that popped out at me, and I was like, it's perfect. And I like the way that it would lay on her.
Yeah. She's, I mean, like her other end of her tentacles missing and top of her head, and she's got some cracks, but she is having the time of her life.
Yeah, I was probably working through some things on that.
She's having the time of her life, though. Right. Well, and I think that's really, what stands out for me.
Mostly when I painted her, I wanted to paint a statue because I wanted to put a bunch of bugs on it. I really just wanted to
there's one little ladybug.
Yeah, there's a little ladybug. We got some caterpillars. There's a spider like coming out of her eye.
Oh, wow.
Little centipedes all over. I really just wanted to practice painting tiny bugs. And so she actually was not the main focus, but you don't even see the bugs. So.
but like when you look at it some more, you see it. And that's the thing. It's been sitting in front of me this whole time, and I'm just now picking up on it. Right. But that's something I personally love in art. I love being able, I'm a maximalist at heart. I like having a bunch of things to like dig into when I'm looking at something. I'm very much like that.
Well, a lot of my paintings, I'm like, how much can I put into this?
Let's go take a look at another one, because there was, you even have some tactile elements on some of your art.
Oh, yes, on everything. Cool. I like to make my art.
I'll set her right here.
I like to make my art accessible, and one of those things means touchable, right? Because some people, that's the only way that they can experience art.
Yeah.
So like adding the beads, or like this is actually a wrapper off of an old canvas. these little guys was something that my my friend actually crocheted them for me. This is a part of a belt. Wow. I mean, yeah, I like to use all sorts of stuff. This is just random fabric I had. But this is an example of one of the interactive live paintings that I do. So I have set up at an event, and then I just start painting. Mm-hmm. Usually, I'm at concerts, so I just kind of feel the music. And
that's a great place for that.
Concerts are my favorite. I will paint at any event, but concerts are my favorite because I love the music and the paint kind of like.
And people are already in the mood and the right vibe to create with you.
Exactly. They're already like in that creative, space. So, yeah, I just start painting, and then I invite anybody. If you're walking by me, I say, hey, do you want to paint? I have my cool little vest that says paint with me.
I saw super cute little vest.
Yeah. And yeah, so like.
What are some elements that other people added?
Like this cat face was somebody, the snail, somebody added the wave. This little face here was somebody else. Somebody added the mushrooms, the little bird.
Oh, that bird is
another
pretty.
Little waterfall. Yeah, sometimes people will come up and paint with me, and they're like, I'm not an artist, and then they'll do that.
They'll do that. Like, bull crap. That's beautiful.
Technically, so somebody had painted here, like it was like a pink, it was just a bust, and so I turned it into her dress. Somebody painted a pink tree, and then somebody painted this tree over it. I don't know if you can see that.
But that still goes together so well. It just goes,
right.
It blends, and it's creation on top of creation, and it just makes this.
Right. One of my, I didn't bring it with me, but my favorite is when people just paint. Mm-hmm. A lot of times, like with this one, a lot of people were like, oh, I'm going to add to stuff that's already there.
Yeah.
But I love it when people are like, I don't care, I'm going to paint whatever I want.
Yeah.
And paint over things and all of this, because you see the shadows of like this person painted over here or that person, and it all adds to like what the end painting is anyway. And I think that that's just such a beautiful like expression, you know what I mean? Getting together, like it doesn't matter if your thing is seen or not. You still added to whatever is there.
I hear all the connections that it would have to like somebody's psyche and what they're feeling, you know?
Right.
Like, I don't want that covered up because then I'm not seen or my contribution isn't seen, but like it is though.
Right. And that's what I tell people all the time. I'm like, if you want to paint, I'll be sitting there for 4 hours spending time painting a fairy or whatever it is, and then somebody will come and paint over it. And when I first started, I had trouble with it. I really did.
I get that.
Because I was like, oh, well, so actually me starting the live paintings was an accident.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Z_.
Oh, yeah, we know her.
Amazing. Love her. She was doing Frequency Fridays.
Yeah.
And this was kind of in a transitional period for me where I was like, I don't want to be selling my work anymore because it's just so draining. But I want to still be at these places. Like, how can I do that? And I learned about live painting, and I was like, Z, can I live paint? I'll bring a few pieces. Maybe they'll sell, but I want to really focus on the live painting at your thing. She was like, oh, yeah, definitely do that. And so I set up, and it was so funny. I had like one of those tiny table, easels and like 4 or 5 different colors. Yeah. And I was like so nervous about it. I even thought about like, this is what I'm going to paint and all of this. And very quickly I realized that I don't like people just staring at me while I paint.
Okay.
Makes me feel real weird.
I can see that. Like I'm vulnerable over here.
Right. I'm like, this is very intimate for me, and you're just staring at me. And there was this one guy, and I don't know his name or anything, but he was standing there just staring at me. He was enthralled with whatever I was doing. And I'm just like, I just turned to him, and I was so nervous. I was like, do you want to paint with me? And the light, I mean, I cannot even describe how excited. He was like, paint on that? I was so nervous.
That is so
I was
cute,
like,
though.
yeah, do you want to? So excited. I mean, I saw him turn into a tiny child right there. He was just like,
yes,
yes, I will. Yes, I will. And he, went wild. And so then I just started asking other people, and it turned into this beautiful, it's sold, but it's a beautiful butterfly, and it's all these colors are coming out of it. And I mean, it's stunning. And so after that, I was like, so that's what I'm doing.
That's what I'm doing. I love how that came to you through play, inviting somebody else to come play with you.
Right, exactly. It was like, do you want to play with me? Yes.
That is super
cute. It was really such an innocent and sweet, magical moment.
I'm gonna flip my cards upside down. It's like I'm sitting here talking to you, girl, and everything's all flipped upside down. Well, we talked a little bit. We'll stick her back over there because we talked a lot about your business concept and everything like that, and wanting to like kind of get away from selling your art and things like that. But how do you deal with other modes of trying to sell art? Do you do commissions? Do you make merch for anybody? Like, what other avenues? Is there another thing that you're trying to do at all with your art to make money?
Yeah, I mean, I do still sell art. People will sometimes, like, after an event, people will be like, I want that one.
Yeah.
Please let me know. I mean, I will always take it home with me to add my touchable textures because that's important to me. But yeah, I've had people buy them from the event. I've had people, reach out to me on Instagram or wherever they see my art. I get my stuff in galleries sometimes. Most of my art right now is up at Eisen Root Remedy.
Oh, yeah.
It's all up on the walls, and it's all for sale. And they can deal with it, so I don't have to.
So you don't have to deal with it.
No, they're wonderful people, and I'm so glad that they have the wall space for me. I do commissions. I love commissions. Because a lot of times people will come to me with, like, I want this idea that I never would have painted on my own, you know? So that's really fun. Merch would be fun. I really want to do some collaborative murals. That's one I really want to do. I think that would be super fun. Like, just inviting people to come paint on a wall. Who doesn't want to do that?
Who doesn't want to do that? I would want to do that.
Right?
Because I think one time that I saw you, I helped, like, I painted some bubbles on something or whatever. Because I was just like feeling bubbles that day. Let's talk a little bit about more about your creative process. So, and the cost. We can't really get away from the money thing. You said that you got, like, stashes of different things, and you still collect.
Yeah.
But art, sometimes for some people, it feels cost prohibitive.
Yes.
And I know you find a lot of things in the trash, but talk to me more about the balance that you found in costs and being able to create.
Well, one thing is I go to Scraps. I don't know if you've heard of Scraps, Casey. It's basically like a thrift store for art supplies and school supplies.
Oh,
and
wow. Really?
Yeah, it's amazing. It's like, seriously, my favorite place to go ever. They have canvases, they have paints, they have fabric, they have yarn, they have random wood bits, they have rulers and folders and pens and pencils and garland and, I mean, anything. They have it all. Amazing. They have Cricut machines, or at least they have had Cricut machines, sewing machines I've seen there. I mean, really everything. And, like, you can go in and, like, I got one canvas, giant, thick guy, huge, for like $9.
Wow. Which
if you go to, Michael's and get that brand new, it's like at least $150. Yeah. So that's really awesome. Dumpster diving is legal in Kansas and Missouri. I just want to throw that one out there. Dollar store is also a great place.
Dollar Tree has a lot of art stuff now.
Yeah, and I actually prefer some of their paints. Like, their dark blue and their dark purple are like two of my favorite colors.
That's good to know.
That I have. Some of them are really watery, like the yellows and the greens. They're very, very thin, but still can add a fun effect. Yeah, I A lot of my stuff I get secondhand. Thrift stores are also another good place for like canvases, paintbrushes. And so, yeah, I mean, and a lot of it too, I've had since forever. I don't throw anything away.
No. Because it's somebody going, your trash can. Right. Your trash can would be so popular. Your dumpster would be so popular. They'd be like, oh my God, Kitty threw something away.
Right.
Don't you let people know where they can find you and keep up with you and help you make art or even buy some of it?
Yeah. Belligerent Crow _works on Instagram. Belligerent Crow works on Facebook. That's where I am.
Thank you so much for joining me. It's been a pleasure. And I can't wait to see what you do. And I can't wait to go to that warehouse.
Yeah.
I bet you do that.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Once again, thanks, many, many thanks to Kitty Barrett Cry for joining me today. All the links that she gave will be down in the description box below, except for TikTok because we don't know if it'll be around. If you had as much fun as we did, make sure that you like, you comment, and you subscribe, daggone it, to the channel. New episodes of Getting Close Up air bi-weekly on Fridays, and we also make the podcast version of this available on all streaming platforms. Words are hard. So don't miss that either. You don't have any excuse at this point. Also, check out me and Dee as we give you the tea on what's hot and what's not with GCU Review. Thank you guys for watching. You are the best part of all of this. And I'll see you again soon for another close up. I'll be checking for you. Bye.